Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. I think we're now at like 22, Tim, if I'm not correct, or 23. I'll just have to check our numbers. But we were back with another interesting interview with you guys. For you guys, we spoke with Denisha Devner, and now we're going to speak with someone else in the women's setup, slightly higher up, just to get you guys ready and going with regards to that. But Tim, just quickly, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. And as you say, I think it's a good idea that we are moving within the women's Proteas side circles with the World Cup just around the corner. So we had a good interview with Denisha Devner. This one, as you say, it's slightly higher up, slightly more intense, but it should be good.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. Very much a fan of this man's work and what he's done with the women's team. But without further ado, I think let's bring on Coach Hilton Moreeng to come through onto the show, onto the Full Quota podcast, to discuss the women's team and to talk about the plans going to the World Cup. Coach Hilton, thank you very much for joining us and sparing some time to chat with us today.
Good morning, Mpho and Tim, and thanks for having me, and looking forward to.
Coach, yeah, thank you very much. Coach, it's been a very great year for your team, and I think you've been there for 8 years. Have you ever had a year like this where you are unbeaten from a series perspective throughout? You've been there since 2012. Is this one of those years where you're like, Lord, thank you very much, but maybe carry it over into 2022 a little bit?
It will be ideal to carry it over. I think, it's been our best year and a half that we had thus far. I think the basis of that is the build-up that we had. I mean, we have a very good core of players now. I think it's a team that has been coming along for a very long time. Most of these players now have been together for the last, 8 to 12 years, playing together. They're now what we call, or what we regard in the country as senior players, more mature, the good core players. And the fact that they've been playing around these leagues also added to their experience, so you can see how they go about their business. Even youngsters coming in, it makes it very easy for us to make sure that they can blend in and learn quicker because they got experience on the park. Because the best way to learn as a youngster is on the park than actually sitting on the side. So that's far for us been the best year, and as like you say, we're working hard to make sure it keeps continuing, and hopefully goes well into the World Cup.
That's true, and we hope so too.
No, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. You're doing a great job at the moment. Just to sort of, I guess, fast forward a little bit, just until this last series against the Caribbean. What were your goals as a unit going forward with this unit, particularly with the World Cup just around the corner? So what were the goals and plans that you had for this particular series?
For us, the most important thing is we got a competitive series, and the most challenging one was away from home in tough conditions. And the last time we were there, it was not a very good one. I think we struggled a bit, and I think we drew all series against them. Although we've been in the lead, and they came back and they drew. So for us, the initial goal, we were just happy first to have the full squad again since the World Cup, because we've been hindered by injuries, challenges. As you could see, we had different captains in different tours, and it was the first time now since the World Cup we had our captain back, and then having the full squad again was helping because we're not so far away 5 months away from the World Cup. So the initial goal for us is just to make sure now as a squad we can touch base with everyone that's back from injury rehab, and make everyone is fit now. Now we can see how we go in these conditions. And at the back of it, we knew that we haven't won a series. The West Indies is a team that plays well on those very challenging conditions, extreme heat, very slow wickets. So it needed us to adapt. So hence, we felt that with the experience that we have in the squad, it was the best time now to make sure that we can turn that around and put one up against them. So for us, the goal was to make sure we win and make sure each and everyone in the squad in an ideal situation, we get everyone, we give them a go and see how they go. Because, in the World Cup, you're only as strong as what your your squad is. I mean, the first 11 is the least of your worries. In when you go into a World Cup, is the players that are sitting on the bench that you know they can come in any day and make an impact. And the only way you could know is by them getting opportunities in the build-up, not only playing on 12, 13 players and focusing on them. And you have a challenge in the World Cup, then you're struggling. So it was good for us. I mean, we had the idea, the first 3 games, the way it went in the ODI, we were able to rotate the squad, and it allowed us to see who can do what and what the other players can do in the squad. So overall, it was very good for us, and I think we achieved our goal that we set ourselves. Firstly, we touched base with everyone, revisited where we want to go as a team regarding the World Cup, knowing that it's 5 months away, and then making sure that we win a series in the West Indies.
That's you're one of the coaches in the country who are leading a team that's actually winning and has a winning culture. How do you foster that culture? Speaking even with the players that you're speaking about who are on the bench from 11 to from 12 to 15, how do you get them to be ready all the time? Because if you look at Tasman Birds, Annika Bosch, Laura Goodall, Dumisi Kukune, and the list goes on with the players who were on the bench. Nalo Jafta, whenever they came on, they were ready, and it's hard as a sportsman to be on and off. How did you manage to foster that culture of always be ready?
Is the most difficult thing, because where the level we operate it's a level where you have to win. Everybody expects you to win, especially when you go in the park, and something like that is neglected often is development of players, because youngsters have to come in somewhere. They will make mistakes. Sometimes it's going to be mistakes that's costly that nobody's going to like, but there's always a bigger picture. I think post the 2017 World Cup, and we came close in the semi-final. Through the selections, I mean, we sat down and looked at how we're going to go to the next 50 World Cup, and then we identified a squad of 24 players that we kept working on. I think the good thing for us thus far, when we had camps, it allowed us to work with the youngsters, because most of the senior players, they would be away on T20 leagues, going out abroad. So it gives us the attention to detail to the youngsters. Those that we know they were fringe players then, and how they can establish themselves in the squad. So you keep working with them, you set with them, and you set performance plans for them, and you monitor it through the relationship that we have with the coaches at the provinces that looked after the players on a daily basis to make sure that whatever they work on, it's not contradicting to what we want to achieve for these players. So communication is constant around the country between us as coaches and the coaches in the provinces, to make sure that information is flowing and players know exactly where they stand in the system. And through that, we had often camps, and when players come in, and 9 out of 10 times where there's an opportunity. I think this year, when everybody went to the IPL and some play at the 100 now, we had an opportunity to bring in more youngsters to see how they can go and how the progress is going. So the inclusion of the Nisha in the system now helped us, because now you can communicate as somebody that can be hands-on there, who understands what is it that we're working towards, who's been in the system. So communication and the work through us department makes it very easier for us now, because you can actually speak to somebody who can actually look after these players. So through camps and where there's an opportunity, we always try to add in 1 or 2 youngsters to make sure there's continuity, and they understand that when the opportunity comes, how far are you from the team? If it happens that you get there, what is expected? How do you go about it? So, like I said, your first 12, 13 players, as players that is established, they understand, they've been there, they've done it for a while. And it's like you play player 14 to 20, 24 is the ones that we actually have been hampering on, going around the country, visiting the provinces, making sure that there's continuous work to be done. That is the only opportunity, So, but that's why when you see them, when they get opportunities, like they've been there, because they've been practicing with these girls, they've been working around the clock, they've just been sitting and waiting for the opportunity, which is always a difficult part, like I say, because, I mean, all players want to play. Unfortunately, you can only play 11 at a time. So those not playing, you need to make sure they stay sharp, and for them to stay sharp is to keep them motivated, and they understand the bigger picture where we're going.
I hear lots of words like pipeline and communication. Very, very important with the two there, with having a bigger pool of players. Having a bigger pool of players is clearly making a difference to the team as a whole. So do you think you are better equipped now to go to this World Cup than you were to that last one? Do you think overall you are better equipped as a unit, having experiences that you had, having lost the semi-final, bigger pool of players? Do you think overall that you are better equipped now to take on the next World Cup?
I think the difference now for us being better equipped or more prepared is we have more experience. Like I said, most of these players have been through our 3, 4 semi-finals now together in both formats. They understand how it feels to lose in the semi-final, and they're getting to that age now where everybody wants to play now and win this World Cup. You know, and they want to give this World Cup the best that they can because they understand that where they are as they're not as young as they used to be. So preparation and the focus is very different in the camp now when it used to then, and it allows us, like once again I said, to be able to spend more time with your youngsters because your seniors understand what they need to do. I mean, you see how they go about it from a bowling unit, how they bat, and that rubs off to our fielding. So that's why, as a unit now, we're starting to become a very formidable unit. Players are playing extremely good cricket, understanding the game much better. So, are we better prepared? I think mentally, yes, we are. And where we're going as a team, yes, extremely. I think ideally we would still like to have another. It would have been ideal to have another tour before the end of the year to make sure that then we can see where everyone is at before we go to this Christmas break, knowing that in January we can kick off now with the West Indies tour into the World Cup. It will be ideally, but we can only manage what we can. And I know operation team understands that they're working around the clock to see, because I think at the same time, around November, December is a qualifier. So most of the teams are involved there. So getting content is not always as easy as we would like to, but we can only control what we can. So through camps, we'll make sure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. We've got some of the qualifiers happening in Zimbabwe, and you've got Pakistan, West Indies, all down here, Bangladesh, all down here playing. And so it's a little bit tough for them to kind of organize. But Coach, looking at that World Cup, and obviously you've mentioned the semi-finals that you've come through. I think if we look at women's cricket in the world, you've got the two big teams, Australia and England, and it's always either one of those two that you're going to meet in a semi-final. And then obviously there's that group: New Zealand, India, South Africa, and West Indies, that are pretty much at a similar level, but I'd say South Africa slightly higher, maybe in a level of their own right now after this incredible year you've had. How do you break through that ceiling in a semi-final? How do you beat those teams in the semi-final? Have you identified their weaknesses, or do you think because we have a golden generation where I think we've got 3 top 10 ODI bowlers, we've got 2 top 10 ODI batters, that now it's a little bit easier, but maybe it's just tweaking tactics here and there. But that's always been the thing in my head, is how do we beat them? How do we break through that ceiling?
I think World Cup's preparation is key. I think for us, it's just to make sure that we have an injury-free squad going into the World Cup. And the good thing is, as like you mentioned, the two teams, countries you spoke about, the two teams, Australia, England, is the teams that always had the resources. I mean, they've been leading the pack, and the rest of the world has been actually following that and trying to catch up with them. I think with all that we have achieved with the resources that we have in the country compared to what they have, the team, one can only be proud of what this team has achieved, because the resources we have is nothing compared to what they have. And through that, the girls have shown that the talent is here in the country. It just needs to be nurtured. And through nurturing and looking after it, making sure that each and everyone work extremely hard around with their skills, and not forgetting that the opportunities they get around the world. We went from 1 or 2 players playing in these leagues. Now we're sitting at 10, 11 players at a time. So it shows the growth of the team. So going into a World Cup, I think at the end of the day, what is good about the 50 over World Cup is 8 teams, and you play in a round robin, and the top 4 goes through. So the World Cup is how you play, how you prepare on the day. You're not going to rely on anyone to do you a favor. I mean, you have 7 games to play to get yourself in a semi-final. You need to focus on the 7 games and how you go about it. Luckily now for us, we've played a lot of cricket. we played a lot against these countries is when it gets to the opportunity when we're in the semi-final again. I think once we get ourselves there, we've been there now. I think everyone in the camp understands now it's an opportunity for us to see if we can push to the next level and get ourselves in the final, because once you're in the knockout stages, anything can happen. But what we had to do is to make sure that we have enough players now that can come in on the day when it's required and do a job. So we have now a squad of 18 players, that 18 to 20 now, that we feel that we take that to the World Cup now, anyone on the day, irrespective of what happens, that we are prepared as a team. We're not going to be found wanting. All our bases are covered. Preparation has been very good. I think we're now going to focus on a couple of camps going into the end of the year, and then pulling into that home tour against West Indies before the World Cup. So coming into the semi-final at the end of the day, you need one one player. I mean, we have a lot of match winners in the squad. We're just now working towards to make sure that they understand now at the end of the day how to go about it, which we can see. Most of them are now starting to get the platform, and they're starting to show in the world what they can do. So on the day is the one that's more focused and concentrate a lot on their basics, and then we'll see what can happen on the semi-final, and hopefully we can get ourselves in the final next year.
Yeah, certainly agree. I'm sure you've watched a little bit of New Zealand women against the England women. New Zealand had them in trouble at times. They didn't quite have enough play, but they certainly gave England a bit of a fight from time to time. But you talk there about the leagues there. How important is it to have our ladies go and play in the Big Bash, in the 100, to get that experience of high-intensity cricket, week in, week out, and on a consistent basis? How has that helped them, and then their experiences rub on to the younger players?
No, it's a great opportunity and initiative for young cricketers coming through in the country. I mean, if you have your system and you have those kind of competitions going around, it can only benefit you as a country, because youngsters come and they play against these big names around the world. They're in their teams, they're in the change rooms, and you learn quickly. You see things differently. You learn about different cultures, styles of play. So I think that's what we as a country are working towards, to get ours going, getting off the ground, so we can have those kind of leagues also in the country. Because otherwise, if it's not going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to fall behind, because we have the talent in the country. That I can assure you. There's enough cricketers coming through. They just need that pipeline where they are looked after, and they can have opportunities where they can share experiences with those kind of big names that we talk about that go around in the world. So if you have that league for a country, it can only mean well for you as a country. Look at what the IPL has done for Indian cricket. I mean, those youngsters that came through now, when Virat Kohli them started where they are now, I mean, that's the only way you can learn. Because when you're sitting in a change room with so much experience as a youngster, then there's no better place to be. I mean, youngsters will wake up and want to be in the change room to learn. Because at the end of the day, although we believe that players need to be on the path to be able to make mistakes and learn, but sitting in an experienced change room, it gives you a lot of insight of how people think and how they go about it and how they prepare to make them sure that they are ready to be able to compete consistently at that level. So yes, it's one that we're looking to have in a country. Everyone is working around the clock that hopefully one day it can take off. We have the WSL that has started now. So through that, we'll make sure that we can build and become a formidable T20 league where we can start having all these overseas players coming over.
That's very true. I was at that WSL last year in Cape Town, and that was some really good cricket there. Question about that. From a selection perspective, I know you're part of the selection committee. What are you looking for in young players to say that, no, that one is the next Protea or someone I can work with from a tournament like that? It's only a couple of days. Like what makes them stand out? Because that was like one of the questions that I had. Obviously, you can see some people stand out performances, and some of them are already in the Proteas fray. But there were others you were like, maybe. But what's the consensus around the panel when looking at talent in a pool like that?
You see, if somebody's talented, Mpho, you will see it. I mean, nobody has to tell you. I think for us is we go out there and we watch how the game is played. there's players that show a lot of potential. I think at the end of, initially, because our system is not as established as we would like to be, like where you go to the men. I mean, the talent will shine, guys would come with performances. Yes, performance is the first that you look at, but at the end of the day, there's players that has got a lot of skill. That's because they show a lot of potential, and you see that if they channel their energies channeled in the right direction, and they given the right attention, they can become very, very good cricketers, if not one of some of the best cricketers the world has seen. So you look at all aspects. I mean, the performance that is there, the skill that is the potential, and then from there you can look at which players are where, and also look at where we have gaps in the system, and look at a certain skill sets that is being displayed by different players without players even knowing that we're looking at it. And you take it from there, and then you can start looking at how you can get some of the players under 19 emerging into academies and hopefully become Proteas one day. So you look at it holistically.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I guess just to go back onto the actual Proteas squad, talk about the influence of John F. Newkirk and Marizanne Kamp. They seem to have a real influence and play as a sort of leader role within their side. Not just the fact that Marizanne is the captain, but just on and off the field. They seem to have a real influence on the team as a whole.
No, I mean, I don't have to say much regarding the two, because if you watch the 100 now that's passed, it explains to you the, the quality of the two players. I mean, most of the time, Marizanne and Ishmael were injured. I mean, Dane had to play out of a sock to make sure that they give the team a chance, and the influence that she had on the rest of the squad, and to make sure that the players, and to get the best out of each and every player. It shows what quality leader she is. She reads the game very well. She understands the game, and both of them are now at the stage. Like I said, there's a couple of them. If you add in that list, you throw in a Shepnam Ishmael, Chetty, Mignon du Preez. Those players have been playing cricket for a long time now. They understand each other. I mean, that's why I'm saying a support group also at the Protea level is so good, because it's players that don't need to be reminded what to do. They know exactly what needs to happen. It makes their captaincy much easier. I mean, they can come in and focus on their cricket and work and make sure that their performance is up to there, because each and everyone around them understands what they need to do. So the two of them, yes, it's like I said, we're blessed with a very, very good crop of talented cricketers that the country has seen now, and I think for them, if all goes well, I think to get themselves in the World Cup final, it will be great to see, because they got the talent, they have everything that actually us from a coaching point of view would love to have in a team. I think it's complemented very well. Look at our bowling attack. It's one of the best in the world now. Our batting is now clicked in the last year and a half. It's showing the maturity and experience. I mean, not forgetting that Laura Wolfert is only, 21, 22 now. It's still a youngster. But she looks like she's been on the scene for years, but she's still a youngster. She's still one who's learning her art as a better. But we have that kind of talent. It shows that in a country we are blessed with talent. It's just for us to make sure we keep looking after them. So those 2 years, they bring a lot of experience. They understand their game very well. They're very good with youngsters. Then they willing to share the experience that they've gained over the years, to make sure that the youngsters don't go in the direction that they were, and they had to learn the hard way to come back onto the road. So you are blessed for that. I mean, it's a change room that you can only be proud of as a coach.
Yeah, that's very true. Coach, I'm gonna take you back to, I think, that India tour earlier on this year, because I think that was the first time in the ODI setup where as a fan of the past 3 years of this team, I kind of felt that the ODI side clicked. And I understand you spoke about the experience that everyone's gained. But from a tactical perspective, it felt to me like the strategy slightly changed a little bit. Everybody kind of now was moving on with the times, and it felt like it felt to me like India were playing one of the top two best teams in the world, the way you guys went about it. What changed in these 18 months from a tactical perspective that makes this team, especially in that top six, one of the most formidable top sixes in world cricket?
Mindset. I think for us, it was all about the mindset. Everything changed when everybody sat down. I think you look at how close we came over the years. I mean, in the last T20 World Cup showed us. I think we were 4 runs away from a final in the World Cup. So, and it was circumstances beyond our control on the day. So, but it's the way everyone gave a fight, and we kept pushing so close. I don't even think Australia thought we could get so close. But the confidence that was in the change room that day, it's something that just rubbed off, and it just continued. And then from that World Cup, nobody has looked back. And then everyone, remember now, even whoever gets an opportunity to play next knows that the next one, player number 12 is ready to take my place. And they're not even going to play. They're just going to make sure that they do better. So whoever's in the starting 11, they need to make sure that they put the performances. Hence, you see, even when Anneke Bos got a chance, Jasmine Press got a chance, the performances just kept going. So they're giving the selection panel a good headache to have. And for us, it's a very good place to be as a cricketing nation, because at the end of the day, that's what you want as a country, to make sure that irrespective of who plays, I mean, look at Ayabonga Kaka's stats these days, how she has grown as a bowler. Nkululeko Mlaba at age 20, the way she's showing that she's playing like a seasoned campaigner, but she's only a youngster who's just started now a career in the last year. Shangazi also got a chance now. You see Nadine de Klerk also an opportunity at the World Cup semi-final, how she played. I mean, at the end of the day, we forget that these are only still youngsters. I mean, we had Sunay Lee's captaining the team to a certain 1 or 2 games. We had Laura Wolfert, so we had Lara Wolfert captain in 1 or 2 games, and the way they handled the responsibility and still made sure that we get the desired result on very, very tough conditions. So this team is moving in the right direction, and I think, like we say, it's in a better place now, and it's a team that can start competing now for top honors.
I think we can all agree the team is going in the right direction. That is certainly true. It's certainly been a very enjoyable 12 months as a fan. To go in a slightly different direction, with the world that we live in now, with COVID, how has that been like as a team to deal with? And do we know what the situation is going to be in New Zealand? Because we know Australia is extremely stringent at the moment. So yeah, just in general sense, how has that been to deal with that? The bubble life.
It's not a life that you wish for any athlete. It's very, very confined, very difficult. I mean, the bubble life itself, it's something that you need you need to get out of that room, but you can't, because you understand there's a bigger picture. I mean, other countries have been very good with that, and then I think each and every player, a sportsman or woman that's playing sport now these days, will tell you it's something that we're still getting used to, because coming from your house, going into that bubble, you're there for 6 to 8 weeks, but in just confined to practice, back to your room, in a certain area you can move, you can't mix with people. It's not something they're used to, because at the end of the day, the entertainers, and it's very difficult for them to do that at times, because all you do is just what you see is the ground and where you're staying. So you can't even enjoy the places anymore like you used to, maybe going around, just taking time out. Your time out is confined into your room. So it has been tough. It has its challenges. I think with each and every bubble that we get, we try and see how we can improve it to make sure that we make the athletes as comfortable as they can be, because at the end of the day, they need to get into the park and perform, because that's the world we live in. Everybody's going through that. It's just to make sure we're in the right mindset. So where psychologists are needed, they are on standby to be able to take players' call to make sure that they get them mentally ready to be able to compete. But other than that, it's it's a new norm. It's something that we're living with, and we continue, and it's something that we always see how we can improve. But other players have adapted extremely well, and they know now there's how things are working, because at the end of the day, you're gonna get people that's gotta have bubble fatigue, mental. Struggling mentally now to be in bubble, because if you look to have back-to-back tours, it's bubble to bubble, so it makes it very difficult.
That's true. I think even COVID, I remember early last year, you were supposed to play Australia at home.
Yes.
And it was at the start of the pandemic, and somehow it never happened. And I was
a week away, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think one of my final 2 questions. You spoke about, I think you've alluded to some of the players that have come through the system, Ayabonga Kaka, Nkululeko Mlaba, who've made their name in the system. But through your years coaching the side, the evolution of the team, the black players in and around, the players of color in and around the team, how have they developed throughout, and even from a system wide, and because we're seeing a lot more of them in and around the team. Sinalo Jafta's there now. Dumisi Kukune is knocking on the door. How has that work come about? Because I think the from the women's perspective, I think you've done quite a lot of work regarding transformation.
I must say, in the beginning, it wasn't easy because it's an environment that can be very intimidating for any youngster coming in. I mean, you have the potential, you have the talent, you get into this environment and then when you look around you and the environment is different, now it requires a lot more from you as far as soft skills are concerned. So I think for us, at the end of the day, we sat down as a team. I mean, back in, I think, 2013, 14, when we sat down as a team, we looked at the environment, where we want to go as a team. I think the most important thing for us was to make sure the team is inclusive. Inclusive meaning that players can be who they are, just understanding that what is it that we stand for as a team, where we're going as a team, what we want to achieve. Because at times, if you're not belonging into an environment, it's very difficult to become yourself. And how do you express yourself on the cricket field? Because at the end of the day, you're going to play with whoever you practice with onto your cricket field. You must be able to build those relationships. Must be comfortable to speak to each and everyone. Must be comfortable to understand that this is where the team is. I'm part of this team. So just making sure that each and everyone understand where they stand in the team, what is the team goals, where we want to go, and that at the end of the day, I mean, you're an individual. I mean, you can still be who you are, but when we get into a cricket field, there's a job that needs to be done, irrespective of where you come from. Because playing whoever you play against in the world, they don't give a damn about your background, where you come from. You understand? Is they're going to look at you and they want to take you out. So we need to make sure we strengthen that and making you understand that at the end of the day, you're representing a nation, a very proud nation. As you know, our supporters are very unforgiving. I mean, you can win 60 games, we lose one, and then all of a sudden, I mean, everything goes haywire. So they need to understand that kind of pressure that is going to come. It's going to happen on days when you're not doing well. So you learn and grow from that. And then we make sure that we give them the right support. Each and every player in the squad was given the right support to get them mentally ready for what is coming. And yes, we had our hiccups, we had challenges, and I mean, the building blocks were not easy. But eventually we got to a point where each and every player now starting to understand each and everyone's background, where they come from, because somebody speaking Xhosa they're comfortable speaking in their language. You understand? Not speaking English doesn't mean that you don't understand or you don't want to speak. It's that just you're comfortable speaking Xhosa, and then you understand. And whoever speaks Afrikaans is comfortable speaking Afrikaans. The environment allows you to do that. But when we're in a team space and we're trying to address things, then obviously we switch to English, where everybody can understand and be on the same platform. So it wasn't easy, I think, and it's still something that we keep working on, because we're in such a diverse country, to make sure that we keep getting everyone on the same page, to make sure that we continue improving the environment.
Okay. Very important. Very, very important. Inclusivity is very important. Paul,
I've got one last question around the conditions in New Zealand. I know you went to New Zealand early last year. You kind of got a taste of the conditions. I know you mentioned that obviously, based on the way the calendar is looking, you may not get an opportunity to be able to have those to get a couple of more series. How are you preparing around that? Because it's been a while. Yes, the team's experienced. Are there places in South Africa? Because I know the places in New Zealand, you can wake up one morning and you just see grass. So is there a way that you're thinking about preparing for that, like from a camp perspective, maybe like use botch or something like that?
No, always. I think with every tour that you have, especially when you know where you're going, wherever you're camping, you're camping where you go to, whichever province you go, is a province you identify that's got facilities closer to where you're going. It's going to give you more or less the same conditions you're going to get. I think with going to New Zealand, the good thing is majority of the squad now has been to New Zealand. They know if I get an opportunity to go to the World Cup, what is coming is nothing new. and we had a very, very good tour there. So I think the confidence will also, they'll take with them of since the last time they were there, now going again, what needs to happen. I think the preparation will be much easier this time regarding there, because when we went there the last time, nobody has been to New Zealand. It was our first tour in New Zealand, so to still have achieved what we did there, it was remarkable. So we're happy with that. So yeah, we identify venues in the country. Now it's our in season. We need to look at how, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of bubbles going around now in the country, just to identify the right venue and to make sure that when we go there, that it doesn't clash with the domestic structure, so we can prepare and going to make ourselves ready for the World Cup.
Okay, that's a very good answer, because that was my question, because I was like, we haven't played in New Zealand in like a year. Will they remember what it's like? But I'm assuming the memory banks are there, because that was a very good tour as well. And
Yeah.
we're really excited about that. But Coach Hilton, thank you very much for giving us your time. I think for myself, I'm very excited to wake up early in the morning to be able to support the ladies through this process, because I'm very optimistic that come that semi-final, what happened in Australia was one thing. The thing that happened, we scared them. So I'm hoping that we can go one better and slay the dragon. Because we already beaten England. We know them. They're fine. But it's that other one. But outside of that, thank you very much. And we wish you all the best going forward. Because, South Africa is a country of winners. And your team
Yes.
has been winning. So thank you very much for all the work that you've done up until this point.
Thank you, Mpho and Tim. We appreciate the time with you guys. And I must also add that India has shown us that it can be done. Eh?
Yes, they have.
They've shown us that it can be done. So there's hope. They've shown us.
There is a lot of hope. And
Yeah,
the thing about it is that I look at your side and I'm like, this is a golden generation. This is it. Could be it. And I'm sure you think so as well. So, yeah. But thank you very much again. Have a great day further. And, till we meet again, Hilton, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. Have a lovely day.
Hilton.
Sure. Thank you very much. Tim, are you as optimistic as I am?
I am very optimistic about the World Cup. I'm not going to lie. I'm very optimistic, providing everybody remains fit. Look, he's been doing a very good job for a good long while now. That's easy
Have
to
we
say.
had a coach in South Africa, in sport in South Africa, that has been in the job as long as Hilton? He's been there for about 9 years now. It's unbelievable that he has managed to take this team from step to step, and now you're sitting here with like a team that can rival the best in the world on their day. And I'm excited. I think he's done an incredible job.
Yeah, it's as you say, it's a once in a generation side. The average age of that squad that went to the Caribbean is 27. That's ideal. That tells you that they've all, a majority of them are settled, have a lot of experience. It covers all bases, doesn't it? That side. It covers all bases, which is very important. So yeah, hugely positive. All positive from the interview. We'll be crossing toes and all the rest of it. Very much looking forward to the World Cup. We are as ready as we are ever going to be. But I think what he said, he would like another series. Yes, that would be absolutely ideal if you could squeeze in somebody somewhere the next couple of months.
I think they'll have the West Indies at the beginning of the year, late December, early Jan. So, so I think that's the one series, but I think maybe another one, but it might clash with like the Big Bash and everything else, with everyone going to the Big Bash. But it would be nice for the players 12 to 20 to get an opportunity in a series at home against some quality opposition. There are teams that will be around Zimbabwe late November for the ICC Women's World Cup qualifiers. So the USA, I think the Netherlands are coming down. You've got Bangladesh, so there's an opportunity for a team to sneak a bubble in South Africa for like 2 weeks, play a couple of games against either SA Emerging or SA, and then slide across into Zimbabwe. So they've been this is the one area where I'll give Graham Smith props. I think he's done an incredible job getting the women's team and the emerging team some games.
Fixtures.
So I think for me, some fixtures. So I do hope that they can leverage off of that whole, we're playing in Zimbabwe, let's try and get some people, maybe even a 3-team ODI tournament, just to get it going a little, because I'm sure some of those teams there will be short of game time. So that's something that could happen. But look, Tim, thank you very much for organizing it, and thank you to CSA for helping us get Coach Hilton. Really awesome to have him speak. I'm excited. I don't know about you as the fan, as the viewer, as the listener. Really, really awesome to hear from the man who has probably South Africa's longest standing coach in South African sport. I stand corrected, but throughout South African sport, I think he is the longest standing coach. So really, really great to hear from him. And I wish him all the best. And I wish the team all the best. And ladies, go out and dominate the world like you know how to do. So yeah, I wish them all the best. Tim, thank you very much, my friend. We'll be back soon talking about CSA T20 situations and this, because we've got the CSA T20 tournament going around. A couple of upsets may have happened. We don't know. We'll find out when we find out. But outside of that, thank you very much, Tim. And remember, like, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube as well. Subscribe to our channel. We're live on all those channels. And yeah, thank you very much, Tim. And from everyone here at the Full Quota podcast, goodbye and lesale kakahiso.